All right, so welcome everyone. Let me give you the format for today so that we can get the most out of our time together. We sent an email around at the end of last week or maybe over the weekend, and we've got a great number of responses to that so that we can organize the content to make sure that we are getting the most value out of our time together. And I have got three groups of conversations we're going to be having today. We are going to be doing 4 hot seats, and those hot seats are going to be with, and I hope they are online, are going to be with Jeremy Norris, with Alison Roylance-White, with Dr. Shan Hussein, and Brendan Fitzpatrick. So those are our 4 hot seats today. All of these 4 people have different challenges, and we are going to solve their challenges with our collective brain power during the course of the session today. And then we've got some people with some what I've called quick questions, which are questions that I believe are very relevant to just about everyone in the group, but I think we can answer relatively quickly. And the people that I'll be calling forward later on for the quick questions are Rob Shute, Kevin Brown, Jill Anderson, Miriam, Sergio, Tom Wang, and Yarvoof. And I apologize if I'm mispronouncing your name there. So those are our quick questions. And then we've got some people who've got some achievements that they would like to share with everyone. So a little later, I'll be calling on Michael Charles Davis, Sean Purcell, Andy Hunt, Gavin Page, Daniel Beaumont, Alex Dinham, and Nick Manuel. So those will be the people sharing what they have been doing since last time and their achievements. So I think that the time is going to absolutely fly by. I hope you're all well, and I hope it's been a good day. It's been a good day this end. We've just agreed to buy another one. Very cool. It was with a broker for, let me just get the numbers. I've got the numbers here, so I was jotting them down on my last meeting. It was with a broker for 297,000, and they then dropped it to 199,000 because they couldn't sell it because it was overpriced to start off with, and we're buying it for 120,000. We're paying 35,000 on completion, which is going to come out of prepayments and money that's in the bank already. Then £20,000 in a year's time, £20,000 in 2 years' time, and £25,000 in 3 years' time. And I hope, if you add all that up, it comes to 120. So that's a nice little result from half an hour ago. We've just agreed. Done a couple of purchases since I saw you last. One of them was done remarkably quickly out of necessity. It was done in a 48-hour period. It was half term week, and I was out at the Shrek the Adventure. Have you ever been to Shrek the Adventure on the not by myself, I hasten to add, with my daughter down on the South Bank, and my colleague Linda called me and said, "Do you remember this business?" And it was someone actually I'd met a year before, and I did remember it because it's reasonably local to me. It's about 5 minutes down the road, and she said she had a buyer, but the buyer pulled out at the last minute on Friday. So this was the following Wednesday, and she's desperate to do something. And I looked back on my phone to see the emails from a year ago, and this woman wanted 200,000 for the business. Absolutely adamant. I've actually got the email that says this is non-negotiable. This is 200,000 non-negotiable, never going to happen. And I love it when people say that, because the more they say it's never going to happen, the more you know it will happen. It's like they're putting up the defense for something that will be happening later. And she'd actually agreed to sell it to someone else the week before for 149,000. And we found out about it that Wednesday afternoon, and we signed the asset purchase agreement on Friday morning. So less than 48 hours later, for £12,000. In actual fact, we only paid over £9,000 because of the way the money moved back and forwards. Yeah, nice, from 200 down to 9. So these bargains are out there. They really are, and I love a bargain as much as the next person. You just got to keep looking. They're out there, and there's been a few people picking up some bargains along the way. Let's see. Have we got Sean Purcell? Sean, if you are there, the way to move your way up to the top of my list is to click the little blue wavy hand, and then you pop up at the top of my list, and I can unmute you. So Sean, I hope you're there. Looks like Sean might not be there. Let me have a little look. If he's not, we'll just move on. Nope, he's not. Okay, so Michael Charles Davis, if you just click the little blue wavy hand. Michael Charles Davis. This was working so well, right? there was definitely a system here. All right, let's move to Gavin Page. Gavin, you're there, right? Okay. So if you can you unmute yourself there, Gavin? Hi, Gavin. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. Good.
You've just saved the day. My embarrassment of calling out 3 names and those 3 people aren't there. So good to
Third time lucky.
Absolutely. So Gavin received your email with a bit of an update. Could you fill everyone in, please, on what you have been doing since we saw you last month?
Yep. Okay. So I don't know if you saw on LinkedIn, but we acquired a couple of businesses, and we did the podcast with you, Jonathan. That was the Wilmslow printers ×2. And since then, I was also working on a print and signage company based in Southend in Essex. And that was just the assets only. Basically, the group was called Arcacia. And in this group, they had 4 elements to the group. I was only interested in one of the elements, and it was still a trading entity. And it had 4 MDs. One of the MDs who looked after the print and signage part of the group unexpectedly died in January, and the other 3 had no idea how to run this print and signage business that did all the work for the group. And obviously, when Jonathan tells you to structure the group, have the mothership at the top, and then the SPVs below it, and then your separate companies. Well, this was just one group with 4 different companies within it, no structure at all, apart from they had their own departments and 4 MDs running those departments. So hence, when you come to anything like this that happens, or you come to sell it, it's not an easy sell. There's no SPA to buy. So we could only buy the assets.
SPV, yeah.
Yes, yeah. So it was ongoing for quite a few weeks. They had some nice kit there. I didn't want the building that they'd signed up for like 15 years. So that was down to them to get out of. And obviously they couldn't liquidate the main group to get out of it. They just had to continue paying it. They had some kit on finance as well, which I wanted, some of the kit, and it made sense to buy it and move it up to Manchester. So we ended up doing an asset sale for quite a bit of the kit. They made all the staff redundant. Again, it wasn't my job to do that. They had to do that because the way they structured the business, they had to come out of their cash flow and their bank. So I just made a bid for some of the machines. I novated some of the leases on the machines, and I've brought them up to Manchester. In the meantime, we signed a 2-year deal for the rest of the group to continue printing all their work and signage. The client base is very good, very, very blue chip.
Yeah, I saw you've got all the Chessington, SeaWorld.
Yeah, Alton Towers, all the signage, Merlin Entertainments, basically all the signage for the theme parks across the UK. Obviously, they've took a bit of a battering over the last 8 months, like most companies, but they're on target to, reset the clock, and a lot of their work starts coming through in March next year. So we're gearing up for that. They all do the David Lloyd signage as well. So everything you see in a David Lloyd, they produce. It goes through the Arcacia.
So are you saying that you've now got those contracts?
Yes, I've got those contracts, plus a company called Tugo. And what Tugo is, they go into universities across the country, and they're the Insight canteen, if you like. So they have different styles of canteens, like burrito bar or an Asian bar or noodle bar, and all the signage and marketing material that comes with that, they do.
So Gavin, as far as you feel comfortable, and I won't push you on numbers if you don't wish to share.
Yeah.
And that's perfect. Tell me whether you want to share, or shall I?
Yeah. No, that's fine. I know, everybody wants to know about the numbers. So it started off at, they wanted 150,000, and I eventually paid 10,000. £10,000 cash, and I got all the assets, including at least £70,000 worth of assets, wide format printers, vans, a couple of vans, Mimaki wide format presses. So I came out smelling the roses. I didn't have to pay any redundancies, and no.
That's so cool. That is so good. And of course, that's the advantage of buying assets. You can pick and choose.
Correct. Yes. And plus, I walked away with the 2-year contract. But again, I knew more than what they did. The CEO of the group said, "Gavin, we'll listen to you at one of the first meeting." This was the follow-up meeting I had about a week later on Zoom with him. And he said, "You've put ideas into my head, and I can't understand why we've not done this." Well, I can, because you don't know about it. You've not done the research, or you've not been on a Jonathan J course. And it's true. And I knew more than them again, and it worked. So that was that one, and it's gonna add to the bottom line. I think at least £200,000, to the group, just on profit.
In profit.
In profit, yeah. In profit, yeah. So
that's a pretty good return on £10,000.
£10,000.
How much were your legal costs?
My legal costs were £5,000. Oh, okay. On that one, on the asset, sorry, £1,000 plus VAT, Mark. So that was it.
Nice.
On the SPAs, we've agreed 5,000 per pot for every one that I get hold of. If it's around 400,000, 500,000 turnover, and so that brings me on to the next one. So after our Zoom call, after the Wilmslow acquisition, we were just discussing management. I was finding it very hard to, obviously with this current circumstances across the group, to get the right management in place. And so after our conversation, which I know was critical to get management in place, on the Wilmslow one especially, the outgoing MD was about to leave. His time's up, basically. So I gave him a little consultancy just for a handover period. And I went on Indeed, did advertise for production director or that level, MD. And I got an application from a guy who actually had his own printing company not far away in Staffordshire. And there was 3 MDs. When COVID hit, they just mothballed the company, and one MD, the one person was going in, just trying to keep it ticking over. That company turned over about 400,000 and had fantastic profits, around 265, I think it was, gross profits. They'd all taken a nice dividend out over the last 30 years, and the company was still making a decent net profit after the dividends had been taken. So I got talking to Andrew, his name is, and it was pretty obvious that he was the driving force behind that 30-odd-year-old company, and he had 2 hangers-ons, you know, in his other MDs, his other partners. So I met up with him in a Costa. I shouldn't have, again, a quieter one though, and yeah, we decided then that he was the right man for the job to take over Wilmslow and run it for me. And if we could come to an agreement and pay off his 2 other shareholders, which is you know, and one of them was looking to go anyway, there would have been a deal to be done, and there is a deal to be done. There has been a deal to be done. So we did heads of terms. The assets were valued up around 40,000, 45,000. I think they had, I think they've got 60-odd thousand in the bank, and the gross profit was 260. So take the overheads out, move those all into Wilmslow, plus some of the assets, or sell some of the assets. We're looking at a massive margin, massive gain there, and to pay the 2 shareholders off, one wanted, well, we agreed on 20 in the end. He wanted a lot more than that, but we agreed on 20 for him, 15 for Andrew, who I'm going to take with me to Wilmslow, and 10 for the other sales director. So 45k, and I've bought a business with all those assets, money in the bank, and want to move it into Wilmslow and cut out all the costs of the other business.
So what do you feel that one's worth to you, Gavin?
Oh God, by the time I've cut all the costs out, there's 120 grand worth of costs, plus their directors, you know, loans. So at minimum, I'm gonna make 120 grand without doing anything, just by moving it into Wilmslow. So okay. Yeah.
So are you feeling, Gavin, it's been quite a good month for you?
Yeah, I'm buzzing.
Checking in.
Yeah, buzzing. Yeah. So everybody says the glow about me, you know, and there is, you know, I think I'm on a purple patch at the minute, which is great. But I've put the effort in before, you know, at the beginning of the year. You know, I'm willing to learn, you know, and and that's the biggest thing. If you're willing to learn, you can do the job. You can do it. Anybody can do it. From, you know, not doing an acquisition to doing, I think we're on my 5th now, then yeah, then the deals are out there. So you know, it's been great. Plus, in the heads of terms, I just mentioned this, I did fall foul with one of the Wilmslow businesses because we didn't do a bounce back loan, and the bounce back loan has to be with the current director at the time. You can't take over the business and change the mandate and then apply for the bounce back loan. You can't do that. The bank won't allow it. The Barclays won't anyway. So you've got to be a director of that business before the 1st of March. And when you apply for the bounce back loan, you need to get the
previous owners to do it.
Yeah, you've got to do it. So what we did with the one in Staffordshire, we put it in the heads of terms that we, you know, they have to do the bounce back loan, and we'll put a warranty against that it's the company and on us to pay that back, not the current owners at the time who are on the mandate. And I think that's a really important learning curve.
Yeah, we've done that twice recently. So we've used the bounce back money in the bank to pay. We did one which required 100,000 on completion, and we effectively just took the money that was out of my colleague went to their office, got them to share their password for the online banking, logged onto the online banking, changed the password, so now it was our password in the online banking, and transferred the 100,000 over to them and took the keys.
Yes,
it was that simple. Gavin, absolutely brilliant. I've got so much to cover today. I've got a whole list of people here, but I really appreciate your input. It's absolutely brilliant. Well done. I'm sure everyone is silently applauding you for what you've been doing in the last few months. Absolutely brilliant. Well done. That's really, really good. So I asked for Sean Purcell earlier on. Sean, I saw you join. So where are you, Sean? There you are. You should be able to speak now.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Very good, thank you. You?
Yes, great, thank you. So tell us what you've been doing since last month, Sean.
So I did a letter campaign very much focused on training companies, and have had a few conversations with them. The ones that have generally responded, interestingly, have been English language schools and companies that are delivering English language training to corporates. So that was quite interesting, but a few of them that didn't want to go. One that didn't go much further after conversation, because it transpired that they had a franchise within it in a particular area, and so that didn't fit our mold. But the success that we had is that we're just waiting for heads of terms to come back this afternoon from a company that has been a client of mine for a year. So actually it didn't come from a letter strategy. Actually came from a business that I've been working with on and off for the last year.
So I guess that falls under networking, doesn't it?
Yeah. And their family-run business, in electrical engineering, actually. And we've done quite a lot over the last year, but family-run business. The daughters don't really want to be in it. The father's fallen out, but the daughter made a bit of a ham-fisted attempt to try and buy off of him, but then brought in all of these people that the father didn't know. And he went, well, I don't want to sell to you, but I do want to sell. And so when we ended up having this conversation, it became, I didn't make an offer. He said, I asked the question, what would you need, rather than what would you want?
Well done, nicely worded, yes.
He actually gave me a structure that had a payment over 5 years with a consultancy agreement. And he already had a structure in his mind based on what his daughter had offered him. And he went, well, I don't trust them. I don't trust my daughter and her boyfriend and so on. So if I can find someone who would offer this, then I would really want to just become a consultant for the business, because he has all the major contracts. The contractors all have a relationship with him.
So just thinking about that, Sean, if he hadn't have suggested this 5-year structure, which presumably you were quite pleased to hear when he said this, if you jumped in there making suggestions yourself, you might not have gone for 5 years, perhaps. And what did you have something in your mind?
Yes, so I already knew based on a call I'd had before what the number was that the daughter, boyfriend, and these 3 other people that he didn't know had offered. Mm-hmm. And they had clearly gone in with this is how much we're prepared to give you on these terms. So they'd asked for a deferred payment as well, but it was about trust for him. And actually, it's not, just to be clear, it's not 5 years, it's 5 years plus another 5. He has asked for it broken over 10, just happens to be 5. Because he said, he's reached 60, there are health issues, it's causing trouble at home. He said, I just want to not have all of the stress and the family stress any longer. So I had in my mind, well, potentially some money up front and then maybe a deferred payment, but I hadn't said anything. So when he came and he said, well, I'd like this, and I'd like to have sort of 2/3 of it over the first 5 years and the remaining third over the next 5 years. And I said, well, what is it you need? He said, well, I have a director's loan of 120. He said, so that plus a little bit more. He said, that's what I want. I just want my money back that I've in effect pumped into the business.
But I think quite possibly you may have heard me say that at some point, where I said often people will sell just to get their money back, so they feel as though they can hold their head high and they haven't lost anything, apart from years of their life. Yep. They haven't lost anything financially. So it's interesting that's where that's what it came to. Mm. And do you see now the advantage of letting the other side propose price and terms?
Yeah, I think being newer to this process, there is always still an element of doubting Thomas with you, where you think it's got to be about price, it's got to be about, and actually in his case, it's just not. It's destroyed his family life, and he's more interested in having someone take it on that will grow it as a business. And so for him, he accepted, and he said, I know that no one's going to come and write me a big check, but I have an idea about what I sort of want, and it really mapped with how much he would need to live off with his wife for the next sort of 5 to 10 years while they,
Perfect. And clearly you're very happy with that outcome.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. One thing is that the business is doing much better since we've been working together in the last year, financially, and I know that actually it has real potential, that he, because of age and energy levels, he doesn't want to take it in a certain direction, because in his mind that would be too much work, but actually it's not that much work, it's just a jump. So I sort of reached that point anyway, working with them, that I couldn't probably take them much further because of all the problems they're having as a family anyway. But the business does have real potential.
And can I just say to you, Sean, and really to everyone, is that the first deal is the hardest emotionally, really. So once you've done that first one, it gets so much easier from that moment onwards, because you've go through an incredible experiential learning curve that you just can't match by studying theory. And once you've done that first one, you'll be raring to go for the next. I mean, look at Gavin, five this year. It speeds everything up as well, because quite often the first deal seems to take forever because you're procrastinating, you're getting in your own way, you're doubting yourself. So once you've done the first one, you just move faster and faster and faster. So well done.
I mean, we spoke Saturday evening. The heads of terms went to him yesterday. He responded this morning to say, I'm currently in a hotel in Birmingham. I will sign them and send them back this evening.
Perfect. Is it assets or shares?
It is shares.
Okay.
But I've sort of almost done quite a bit of a forensic, because I've spent a year with them anyway.
Yes.
So I know what's there and what's not. And it's one of those ones that I'm fairly comfortable with.
Yeah, sure. Brilliant. Well, if you need any help, you know where to come.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I will certainly call upon.
Great, Sean. Thanks very much. Thanks for that. We're going to move on to Alex Dinham. Alex, let me unmute you there. Hi, Alex.
Hi, Jonathan. Can you see me?
I can indeed. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, very good indeed. So tell everyone, please, what you've been doing since we met last month.
Oh, it's been a bit of a roller coaster, but just prior to the meeting last month, I just closed a deal on an electrical engineering company here in South Wales, where I live. Company's got a turnover of about 2.4 this year. And we install process control and monitoring equipment for operational processes like water utilities.
Okay.
That's it, really. That's the headline. Since then, it's been a whirlwind of trying to get...
That's pretty good. And so tell us about your deal flow at the moment.
So lots going on, as well as trying to get my feet under the table here. I'm talking to about 5 other companies, so 2 manufacturing companies, which is kind of a bit closer to my ideal. But then there are also 2 other electrical engineering companies now in play, which would sit very nicely alongside this. There's a bit of crossover, there's a bit of difference as well. And then there's also an opportunity to buy a bolt-on, which is a bit like Gavin was talking about earlier on. It's a small company of about 500,000 turnover. It's a one-man band. He wants to come and work for us for 2 years. So we'd strip out all of the cost of his business and then pour everything straight into this one.
Very good. And this deal flow is coming from where? Where are you getting these leads from?
Sadly, the brokers.
Oh no! How dare you?
Yeah.
You traitor! How
I know.
dare you do that?
Something that it's like a drug, you know. They keep on sending me these IMs, and you think, "Ooh, that
But the
looks
thing is,
really
Alex, you'll get so much better deals direct with the owner. I
yeah,
know,
sure.
because at the moment you haven't got that comparison. But once you get the comparison, I'll be able to wean you off the off those dastardly brokers and show you the light.
Yeah, absolutely. No, absolutely right. And I did actually in the summer, while this one was going on, start sending letters. And I've got a few nibbles. They didn't really go anywhere, but it must have been only 50 odd letters.
Oh, there's not enough. You need to get some volume, and then you'll realize that a seller who's been prepped and coached by a broker is a very different animal to a seller who's just telling you raw how it is and telling you their sort of their emotional stuff that the broker would never let them tell you.
Yeah, I'm sure you're right. I'm sure you're right, because they all start off with a standard phrase. You know, I've been told not to talk about money or structure at this point. It's like,
I know.
Come on.
You want the exact opposite. You want someone to tell you that they're desperate to sell. It's not about the money, and but can we do the deal quickly, please? And the broker would shut them up in that meeting and say, stop.
Interestingly enough, the bolt-on guy has said pretty much that. So he said the only way this is going to work is if I come and work for you for 2 years and make sure my clients are handed over properly. So his motivation is more about making sure his customers are looked after, because he's got some really long-standing relationships. And you know, of course, there's an obvious win-win that we can develop there for both of us.
Yes. Yeah. No. Absolutely. And you have a question about bolt-ons.
Yes. Yeah. So is there any change really to the way of valuing or structuring the offer, valuing the business or structuring the offer when you're looking at a bolt-on that you're going to essentially bring everything into your platform investment?
There isn't really, although I'd still keep it in an SPV structure initially until you know what you've got, because you know, after you've owned it for 6 months, you'll know if there's any skeletons, and you've dealt with those in the completion accounts and by offsetting any costs against the deferred consideration. So you in that sort of, you keep it in like a sort of quarantine, I suppose, in the SPV for a few months until you merge it in with your other company. But certainly when you're negotiating, you know, the advantage of buying several businesses that are similar is that your cost base, your back office cost base, or your overhead isn't going to be duplicated again and again and again. So you can look at a business very differently when it's the second or third business to when it's the first. When it's the second or third business, you think, well, I don't need that office cost. I won't need half those. I won't need most of those staff. I won't need all these things that they're spending on because I've got them already. Yeah. So you can then do your sort of your song and dance negotiation around a value that's associated with the business as it is. But in your head, you're thinking, the moment I buy this, it's going to double in profitability.
Exactly. I did the maths on Friday and, you know, just go down line by line through the accounts and say, do you need this? No, cut it out. It would add 200,000 to our bottom line.
Wow. I mean, that's a lot of savings. So basically buying that business is going to make you £200,000 more profit.
Yeah.
But can I just tell you something that sometimes sellers do when they become aware that you're buying more than one business or you own a similar business already? What they do is that they say, well, you know, we've got this head office staff, but you won't need that, will you? So they have a kind of one step ahead, and they're trying to figure out how more valuable their business will be to you because you won't need these additional or these items. So what I always say is, no, it doesn't work like that. No. It doesn't work like that because we wouldn't change anything. Because why would we buy a business and then change it? We're buying the business as is with the cost base it currently has, we're not going to change it. So I knock that one on the head immediately. Otherwise, they rather cleverly think their business is worth more than you want to pay.
Sure. So I'm just waiting on the latest management accounts from this chap now, and then the plan is to go back at the end of the weekend and see what we can do.
Yeah, great. Let me know how you get on, Alex.
I will do.
Good stuff. Thanks very much. Thank you. I'm going to move to a hot seat now. We've got so much to get through, and then we'll pick up on anything else later on. So Alison, where are you, Alison? Alison, I saw you here earlier.
Hello.
Hi, how are you? Alison, just hold for 1 second. Actually, start telling your story. I have a new cleaner, and she's very enthusiastically vacuuming in the next room without any sort of recognition that there's someone trying to work over here. So let me, joys of working from home. Let me just go and close some doors. Alison, start telling everyone what you're doing at the moment, please.
Okay, so with my husband Chalky, who's elsewhere on the Zoom today, we started this month, October, November, we started sending letters to garden centres, initially Cheshire and Wirral. Now we're expanding northwest, but it's still small numbers, so we're expanding further. We've had a couple of no's, we've had a couple of yeses, and one in particular is a very small garden centre, but we're actually meeting them now on Thursday, hence the slight panic about what the hell do we talk about. So the turnover is very small. Last year was 67,000, the year before was 45. The gross profit was 48 in the year just gone, net profit's 25. But there was a couple of things that really stood out. One, it's very landlocked and in the conservation area. But two, in that net profit last year of 25,000, they had debtors of 18,000, and there's only one woman with the occasional extra help, and the salaries say 8,000, which is a very small amount of money that would be hard to replace. Apparently their accountant has valued it at 60,000. I can be a bit of a bull in the china shop, which is why Chalky's coming with me, because he can be more creative and delicate and kick me if I get too excited, having listened to Sean saying, listen, don't talk. So yes. It was okay. Where should we come from in that conversation? Because it isn't a 60 grand business.
So let me just so I understand. So this is a plant nursery.
Yep.
Yep.
Yes.
Always an important distinction to make. And you are clearly leasing the property that it's on.
Yep.
Right. Tell us about that lease. What do you know about that?
It's at the edge of a park, and it's now one person who owns it, and the lease runs till 2027. It was renewed relatively recently.
So it's 7 years remaining on the lease.
Yeah.
Okay. My first concern would be that's a very short time, because even though you might not own that business for 7 years, who you sell it to will want a long lease. Otherwise, their argument would be, well, we're going to have to close this. We could potentially close this business in 4 years' time. So you would need a long lease. So part of your price negotiation is around, right as it stands at the moment, this business has very, very little value because the landlord can ask you to close your doors in 7 years' time. Okay. Why would I buy a business that I'm going to be closed? They're going to close me down. So that would be an important factor. So with when you say they've got debtors, that's people who owe money to the company. Surely a nursery is a cash business, isn't it? Don't people just come in, buy their stuff and go?
That's absolutely, it's one of my main questions for tomorrow, because the year before there were none. And what can people be? I mean, did she give them Christmas trees for free? And then 2 months later, she hadn't asked for the money. I have absolutely no idea.
Yeah, sure. So I would want an aged debtors report, so you can see, are those all debtors in the last 30 days, or are they older debtors, maybe 90 days plus? And quite frankly, what are the chances that the person hasn't paid their bill for 90 days? Their chance of ever paying goes down. Yeah. Then with his 8,000 PAYE, that's because he's effectively on minimum wage using his tax-free allowance, and the balance of what he pays himself is coming from a dividend, so from a distribution of profit. Now, that clearly is an artificial construct, which is, which an owner can do. I mean, most owners would take that approach. However, you as the buyer would be saying, we need to put someone in to manage this. And of course, you can do a bit of research on Indeed.com to find out what a typical manager is paid in that sector, and say, look, this has the impact of reducing your profitability considerably to whatever number it is. So I would go through this whole song and dance about the lease, reducing their profitability, the quality of the debtors. I would go through that whole show and dance, and then I'd say, look, quite frankly, I know it's not what you want to hear, but I'm not sure if this business is worth what you think it's worth. So look, tell me what you need, not what you want, what you need, because no one's getting what they want right now. I mean, we're in a recession, so tell me what you need. So what you want to do is to lay it on really thick, and then just hit them with, give me a number, and whatever they say, you use the flinch. You go, whatever they say, shake your head and say no. Is there a broker involved? This is direct, isn't it?
This was a direct letter, yes.
Yeah. So what's the plan why buy this, and are you going to buy more, and what is the plan?
The plan was to create a group of garden centres and then sell that and start our next group of whatever.
Okay. In which case that lease is absolutely vital.
Okay.
Without that, there's almost no point buying this particular one. I think you could get pretty close on this to a no money down deal. How old roughly is the seller? I
have in my head she's kind of like mid-40s. Chalky might know better, but I'm thinking mid-40s. She's created some stuff that she wants to go off and do, patents of things that she wants to go off and keep inventing. Okay.
Can I just share a couple of things that my my colleague Linda, who's a natural negotiator, does in meetings, and she was telling me this earlier on, and I just thought it was very amusing, and I thought I'd share it with you. She actually sets the alarm on her phone for 30 minutes, and she says to them, look, I've got 30 minutes. When the alarm goes off, I need to go. I've got another meeting. So they know that they've got to get a deal in 30 minutes, or you're going to walk out the door, which I thought was kind of nice. There was one where there was an introduction. In fact, no, I'll save that one for later. So I just thought that was a really nice way of keeping everyone in sort of, we can't sit here for hours chatting about stuff. I think there's sometimes a tendency to build too much rapport. And it's like those of you who've ever done any sort of sales meetings, you get to the point where there's a diminishing return. You might as well just stop and ask for the sale. It either happens or it doesn't happen. Talking for another hour, in actual fact, probably talks you out of it. And when I speak with people who are relatively new at buying businesses, quite often they overcompensate. They over rapport build. Everything lasts too long, and then the conversation just fizzles out at the end. So I would say keep it short on that meeting and direct. Now, here's a question for you. Do you have any others that you were talking to?
No, the only other one that came back with a positive has now gone into witness protection. So next batch of letters are out. Planning more.
Sorry, your seller went into witness protection.
They're not calling me back or answering the phone.
That is the best excuse I've ever heard for a seller not returning someone's calls. Gone into witness protection.
I don't think they actually are. Just a thing that we use.
Okay, so how many letters have you sent to get?
Yeah, I've only got to about 70 letters so far. So it's a very, very small number.
I think you need to be doing more letters, having more phone calls. So when you go into this meeting on Thursday, you can go in. You can sort of like be, when he opens the door, you're checking your phone and say, I tell you something, it's just gone crazy. You know that letter that you responded to? So many people are calling right now. It must be something to do with the time of year. That's why so many people are selling. And you need to be able to walk away from this meeting and not be bothered if you don't get a deal.
Yeah.
You need to be able to walk away. So we pulled out of one on Friday. So it was one that's been hanging around since August. The longer it hangs around, the less likely it is to complete. And we were just getting this feeling that we were going to do an asset purchase, and then they changed it last week to a share purchase. They said, no, our accountant says it has to be a share purchase. And they've got these contracts with sort of different providers that we didn't really want. And we said, you know what, we just don't want to do this. And we pulled out. And surprise, surprise, as of this afternoon, they're back with a deal. Basically, what do you want? And we were buying that one for, it wasn't very much. It was like 65 or something. And it will work out now with all the bits and pieces, less than 20. So being able to pull out only works if you truly mean it.
Yeah.
Because if you don't mean it, and there's a hesitation, a flicker behind your eyes of uncertainty, they will subconsciously pick up on it. And they'll know that you're bluffing. So don't bluff, mean it. So I'm sorry, this probably isn't for us. What you want is way out of kilter with the market at the moment. I speak to people who own this type of business all day long. Good luck. I hope you get it. If someone offers that to you, bite their arm. I just don't see it happening. I'm sorry, I don't. But good luck to you. And being brutally honest with them places you in a very strong negotiating position, because now you know more about the market than they do. Earlier on, you know more about buying a business. Now you know more about the actual market that they're in as well.
Okay.
So go for it, Alison.
Will do. Yep. Thursday's the day for half an hour.
And be direct, because if you're not direct, you'll never know.
Yeah. I think my husband would probably let you know that I am good at being quite direct, which is normally why he has to kick me. So
no, it's okay. It's okay. I think that's a good it's a good strategy, because no one wants anyone to waste their time. And I think too many times, business buyers beat around the bush for so long. Let's just get on it. If you've got the deal flow, you're never going to be bothered.
Yeah. Brilliant. Thank you.
Great, Alison. You've got a really good attitude with that. So that's great. Good luck with that. Let me know how you get on Thursday, would you?
I will do. Yes, definitely.
Oh, lovely. Thank you. Jeremy Norris. Where are you, Jeremy? Speak to me.
Hello, Jonathan.
Hello. I'm looking around my screen of faces. Where are you, Jeremy? Speak to me.
One with a hand up. Hand. Look for hand.
Hi, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Okay, so Jeremy, you've got a bit of a challenge. Tell us all about that, and we'll see if we can come up with a solution. And I might open this up to a couple of other people as well to come up with some ideas for you.
Thank you. Well, very simply, I've got a heads of terms agreed with a guy who owns a holiday home in Scarsborough. It's one of a few that manages to go for the multi-generational market. So it's a property which has got 8 bedrooms, but sleeps 20. And it also has the ability to survive the rule of 6 that we've been going through. Again, they've been letting out to golfers. So 6 people take over the golfing, and it makes good money day after day, month after month. And the guy has been running it for the last 6 years. It was his family home. He
So
then
tell us
moved out.
tell us the deal structure, Jeremy, because you've reached head. So you've tell us what you've got on that.
Okay, well, the deal structure is he's looking for 400,000 as his sort of first payment. And then we've got it structured that he's right now looking for 150 in year 4, and then another 150 in year 6. And then the interest that I was going to pay him would be paid in year 7, which is about £30,000. The property itself is valued currently at 689,000.
Yep.
And
Is there any
Sorry?
debt on the property, Jeremy?
Absolutely none.
Okay, so we're going to unencumbered property. Is the property owned by the company or him as a person?
He's a sole trader, so he's owned by him personally.
Okay. Okay. All right.
And he's looking to retire. He's got he's off with his fiance. They're trying to get married. They failed a couple of times already because of COVID, and he wants to follow Formula One around the world in the next year or so. So he's very happy to receive a lump sum to start with, and then really happy to receive these structured payments over the next 7 years or so.
So I mean, in terms of the structure, is actually pretty good. I mean, so basically, after you take ownership, there isn't another payment for 4 years.
Exactly that.
Wow, that's actually that's good. But it's presumably that first.
The business is turning over about 120,000, and he's at the moment he's taking around about £40,000 profit. We know because we run places like this, so we know we can up the profit level by at least another 20,000 just by making some alterations in what he does. And it has also been managed by a company called Sykes Cottages, who are a good professional outfit, and they've again already set me up an account to take over.
So Jeremy, what's the challenge?
Well, the challenge is very simply is that I don't have any money, and it's trying to find a way through to borrow the first 400,000 to get my foot through the door.
And I think you said he wants to retain a charge on the property.
That came from his solicitors.
Yeah.
You were absolutely right. As soon as I got the heads of terms sorted, the following day he went off to see a solicitor family friend, and then everything started to try to be unpicked. And his solicitor's advice was, don't touch this deal with a barge pole.
But the thing is, though, the solicitor can't go wrong by saying that.
I know that. I absolutely know that.
The solicitor can never be reprimanded by their client for their client not telling them not to do it. So some solicitors, that is their default position on everything, is don't do it.
I totally get it. But the only reason I mentioned it is because it was what you said would happen, and so I was prepared for it, and it didn't faze me. I just went, that may be so, and I just said, oh, and by the way, how many business deals has this solicitor done?
Yeah,
it all went quiet, so I've not heard anything back from that, and the guy is still in the game.
Okay, all righty, but he's not going to have first charge on the property, which is what he wants, because if you've got some debt on that, they're going to be the first charge holders, aren't they?
Of course they are, and that's my quandary at the moment. I don't know how to. I don't have the knowledge to make my way out.
We need to borrow £400,000 using this £690,000 property as collateral, which percentage wise, loan to value wise, I think works. I mean, I'm no property expert. I need to emphasize that I'm. And I guess in this group there might well be some. But it feels to me like that's a sort of a good loan to value, 400 to 690. And then the balance payments are paid out of the trading of the business.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. Okay. So
We can do it, sure.
what is the challenge part then?
Well, the challenge is that every time I've gone to speak to people who lend money on this sort of thing, they turn around and say, and how much are you putting in as skin in the game? And I've said, well, look, there's £25,000 I'll be picking up on day one, and that is my skin in the game. And of course, I don't know how to say that and phrase it in a way that it becomes stronger than it is at the moment.
Yeah, sure. Okay. What is a slight complication is that the property is owned by him personally. If it was owned
Yes.
by the company, you could buy the company and then control the property because the property is in a company.
Yeah.
Now,
So are you saying that maybe I persuade him to move it into a company first?
well, that might be. I don't know what the tax implications, the stamp duty implications of that might be. What I'm going to do is just ask if there's anyone here who has sort of very strong property knowledge of how that could be done, who could help with Jeremy. I know I've got a few hands from earlier, so now I don't know which are I guess those aren't. Yeah, Mike Davis. Hi, Mike.
Hi there, Jonathan. Can you hear me okay?
Hear you perfectly. Yes. Is
Oh,
property
great.
thing, Mike?
Yeah, I've got a range of properties with different strategies. So I think you'll find if you try to move this from his personal ownership to a company, it generally tends to create a taxable event. I'm trying to do that with a couple at the moment while we've got a stamp duty holiday going on. So I unless there's some super clever way someone else knows, generally it tends to create a taxable event. If he's got any embedded capital gains or whatever, he's liable to get hit for those, unfortunately. This kind of skin in the game thing comes up all the time, though. Actually, I think that you've got to find a lender who is a little bit more flexible on that. And I know there's a couple of kind of private equity basis family offices I know who are a little bit less anal about the skin in the game discussion. So I don't know, Jeremy, if you want to ping me, I might be able to suggest a couple, but it's not easy. The skin in the game question comes up even more than usual, I find, at the moment. Sorry to jump in like that, Jonathan, but that's just a personal observation.
Yeah, I think it's a case of the current sort of lending climate is harder for a borrower than before. There's Paragon Bank, who Maria can put you in touch with, and I'm one of our was it Daniel who gave us the contact at, yeah, it was Daniel, yeah, thank you, Daniel, gave us the contact at Paragon. They might be worth speaking to. What I'm also going to do, Jeremy, if you contact Maria afterwards, I'll put you in touch with my accountant, who's very good with property things, and he might well be able to help you with something creative. Now, the bottom line is, it might not be workable. I know you've got quite a long way with this, but it just might not be workable.
I've got that, yeah.
In which case, that benefit of deal flow, the more people you're talking to, if something isn't workable, you just shrug and move on. What you don't want to do is spend too much time on a deal that isn't workable, because otherwise it becomes quite an emotional roller coaster, and you feel a little bit sort of beaten up by the whole process.
Sure. I think that's where I'm at right now, and in fact, I was just waiting for really to see if I could speak to a few more people, as we're doing right now. But in the meantime, I've gone to a mail-out company that I've settled with, and we've got 5,000 letters going out over the next 3 weeks.
Very good. Great volume.
Targeting these guest houses.
Which means that this one
so that's what I'm looking for.
When you've got some others to compare,
well,
it might not look so good.
I think I've been around the market long enough to know this is a good deal. I've done a lot of research. I know why I'm going for this market, and that's what I'm looking to do. I want to build at least 12 to 15 as a group, because I know the multi-generational market is a big place to go to now.
Okay. What I would suggest, Jeremy,
But I take your point.
you reach a conclusion by the end of this week whether this is doable. That's yeah, and then you can draw a line under it and move on, especially 5,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
lovely. Good.
if afterwards
Thank you.
Maria, we'll be able to help
Yeah.
you with those 2 contacts. Okay. Sorry, there's a slight crack.
Lovely. And I'll grab those and chase them down by the end of the week.
Yeah, lovely stuff. Good luck with it. Let me know how you get on. Okay. All righty. Okay, let's go to some of.
Thank you, Jonathan.
No problem at all. Let's move to some of these quick questions. Tom Wang, are you here, Tom? If you are, Tom, hit your blue hand there. You'll move up to the top of my list. Yeah, I can see you there. All right. Hi, Tom.
Hi, Jonathan. Can you hear me?
Hi, how are you? We can see you. We can see you. So just tell everyone what your question is. Sorry, I'm forgetting my manners. Are you well, Tom?
Yeah. I'm okay. Just the room is slightly dark. I didn't turn on all the light. Yeah, that's fine.
No, sitting there in the dark. Okay. So Tom, tell us about any specific challenges you've got.
I think first I have to say where my deal flow coming because it's mainly from the broker at the moment, and so I think I got just a couple of experience or sort of challenges we're facing at the moment. I think first is the response time is very slow. So yeah, it's to get something coming back to arrange a meeting. It's probably taking about between 2 to 4 weeks, and that's a little bit of frustration. And secondly, is I think I'm get down to a time I'm start to doubt myself if I'm choosing the right area to target. I think you probably remember we have phone call to just sort of get your idea to see if my my choosing sector is right or not. But in the end, we all agreed that's probably the property maintenance. It's more, it's probably the business we should target.
Let's tackle the first one.
Yeah.
And I hope you can see that I'm saying this tongue in cheek. Can you just remind me at what point I said that it was a great idea to go to brokers to find businesses?
No, not the idea to find the brokers. It's the we talk about which sector I should be focused on, because I have an East Asian office in around London, and so.
Yes.
You know, after the define, we think the property maintenance probably is.
I'm sorry. Did you not say earlier though that brokers were taking ages to send you stuff?
Yes, but that's because my original idea was I haven't really, although in the past that I've done 3 acquisitions, so I thought I'm quite. I would say not that experienced, but I do have some stuff under my belt, and sometimes through agents, it seems to be very quick because all the information is there, and when you can just have a look at the account or the IM, then you decide if it's something you want to pursue further.
What's your challenge then with the brokers?
The 2 challenge, I think one is a slow response because of the COVID. A lot of them, they working from home. Some of them, I think they probably been put on similar like part-time furlough. So they only working for 2 or 3 days a week. So getting a response back or asking for permission for the full count, it's taking about 2 or 3 weeks, and arrange a phone call another 1 or 2 weeks. So even then, I think we did able to speak to 10-ish. I think it's more than 10 people. In there, we find, I think the similar thing you've been told, the seller's expectation is too high.
Yes.
and which is
So this is kind of really, and again, I'm kind of saying this with a smile. This is kind of really why I say, why even bother with brokers?
yeah, I think it's two area. One is because our target is quite geographic location concentrated. So when we look the mailing list, it's quite small number. So you're looking about 200 or 300 of the company you can send a letter. Although I think the first batch is not coming out yet.
Okay. Well, that is what it is, but
Yeah.
but surely speaking to an owner directly is always going to trump speaking to a broker who spends weeks sending you an information memorandum that is full of exaggeration. I can't believe a word of it. So
yeah, I know.
you spend the next 2-3 weeks, please, sending me something that is just a work of fantasy. So do you see why you're making it a little more difficult than maybe you need to?
Yeah, I think probably we are in the stage really. I think that's probably one of the reasons why I'm a little bit doubt myself, because all the things we're trying to talk down the price and making some structure with the seller.
Who are you negotiating the price with?
Once they set up, it depends which broker. So some of the broker they basically just give you a phone number, then they will say, give me some feedback after you viewing the business or speak to the vendor. But some of them are like the one in Bolton. Yeah, they won't be
the one in Bolton.
Yeah, a Knightsbridge or KBS.
Okay.
Yeah. So they want to be in the Zoom meeting, and so that is kind of created a little bit difficulty, especially when we coming down to some numbers. We did actually had through the broker, we had one second meeting, but we were with and talking through a lot of details. But in the end, this guy is similar, exactly like I won't selling penny less for this price, and I just walked away. I think that was quite a good sort of. I won't say it's a relief, but I think it's confidence. I said, look, guys, I can't working on the number you give to me. There has to be some number working to me. Otherwise, I'm happy to get someone else to give to you, because they said, we already had offer, and but
so you're having a challenge with price negotiation from people who've been introduced to you by a broker.
Yeah. So it's two aspects. One is the deal flow is not getting the speed. Second is the price. When you coming down, speak to them in the second telephone or face-to-face meeting, and their expectation is very high.
Is that their expectation is very high because of the broker?
I think it's actually not, because this business, believe it or not, is on the market for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
So they dropped the price dramatically. That's why I think it's catch on my eyes. And because I had a lot of this email subscription from the broker. So when I remember, I said, definitely I saw this business a year before, but suddenly because it's in the property sector, so they're coming back again. I thought, wow, that's like £100,000 less. And
Tom,
so
let me just pause you just for a moment, Tom, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
So the process that works really well for people that I work with is to be speaking to owners directly. There's always going to be the exception here and there, and that's just normal. You know, you can't have something which is 100%. There's always going to be exceptions.
Yeah.
An introduction from an accountant, an introduction from a broker. But your Knightsbridge and KBS are pretty sort of, not they're not the most sort of I'm trying to say something nice. Anyway, so what I'm saying is that I just feel you're making it harder than you need it to be, because you're not following the process. You're going down a different path and then wondering why you're not getting the result.
Yeah.
That's and I just from everything that you're saying, you're telling me all the problems which you wouldn't be talking about if you were doing the deals directly with owners.
Yeah, yeah, but I think another thing is because it's even, I think because through the website, it's not all the brokers. We did have one or two coming through. It's like private seller, but the people selling business in London, and they have a very high expectation, even not through broker. Yeah, I think that they just give it
Here's
so
another-
realistic. Man.
Is that if you spoke to enough owners,
Yeah,
you will always have some people with high price expectations. You'll always have people with incredibly low, oh my goodness, can I get them to sign the contract today? That low price expectations. And then everyone else in the middle.
Hmm.
If someone is saying, if I hear from someone that they're saying that everyone in my market has high price expectations, I think you haven't spoken to enough people.
Hmm. Yeah.
You've just spoken to a handful. You haven't spoken to dozens and dozens and dozens.
Yeah.
And you've got ambition. You bought 3 businesses already. You're going places with the group. Why don't you just try between now and next month?
Hmm.
Try the process that just works so well.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
at least you won't be frustrated by people not getting back to you, and and brokers messing you around, and you'll have more honest conversations with people.
Yeah, I think another challenge I'm facing is a lot of the business in London, but the mailing house, from experience or another company, the data you get is their registered address. But some of them they operating in London, but they are not their content. So, for example, my business, all the registered address is in my content. So with my content, so it's not exactly what you see. So I think that's probably a little bit challenging.
Trading addresses, don't you?
Yeah, yeah.
But you do realize that when you write to a registered address, the accountant, well, you hope the accountant doesn't. They pass it on to their client.
Mm.
My
Yeah.
accountant actually scans it,
Mm.
and it goes into like a.
Yeah. My content do that as well. So hopefully, and
There you go. So you've just proven that when things go to your registered office address, you do get them. Maybe a day later,
yeah,
they don't disappear into
yeah,
a black hole of nothingness.
yeah, I think the challenge is not they go into their content. It's some of the business when I target is that their registered address in London. So I might. That's why it's limited. The companies supposed to be we should have 500, but in the mailing system the data is only have 300. I think the reason is for that. But
Okay. Well, tell you what, for starters, get 300 letters out, just for starters, while you're working on solving the address problem.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, let's just get going. Because if we try and solve every single problem in advance of getting started, it can hold us back. Where if you say, well, let's just launch, let's just get going, let's just get some activity here, let's start talking to people, that's when the magic happens.
Yeah, yeah. I think well, on the another side is even with the broker. So I think it's sort of create a not very desirable deal flow. So I can speak to them. I said, well, ask your broker. I'm talking with several of business, so I can just say if that's not you wanted. So I actually created like a follow-up list. So I said, let me know how you're getting on in 6 months time. Then I will follow up with you to see where you are. So yeah, in that sense, maybe we can pick up them later on.
Let me just give you a different way of saying that. I say, look, if things change, the door's open, you've got my number, call me anytime.
Okay.
Because you've kind of almost said, let's not speak for 6 months.
Yeah.
And the circumstances can change across the course of a weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Tom, I need to move on because I've got lots of people on my list here. But your personal challenge between now and next month, get those 300 letters out, start talking to people, and realize that there's an additional way of doing things.
Yeah, I'll definitely get the letters sent out.
Cool, Tom. Thanks for your input. Thank you. Okay, Jill Anderson, where are you, Jill? I had you there a moment ago. if you could just wave your hand at me, not your hand on the screen, but your hand, your little blue wavy hand. Okay, Jill, I saw you there a moment ago. I know you're there. Just give me a moment. Have you stepped away from the screen? Okay.
Hi, can you
Hi,
hear
Jill.
me?
How are you? We can hear you.
Yes,
Fantastic.
great.
How's everything going with you?
Yeah, it's going well, apart from the printer absolutely blew up and our new one arrived at the weekend. So we'll be back
Oh,
to letters again.
So many letters that you had to
Buy a
replace.
new printer.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So tell us what's going on.
Okay, so I'm looking at podiatry businesses. My background's consultancy, and I did not want to buy a consultancy business. So I had to look around at what it was that I was interested in. And I've worked with podiatrists from a consultancy perspective. But I had a couple of questions for you, Jonathan. A lot of the podiatrists are either quite small, or they are part of a mixed service type of organization. So I have a few questions. One is, any advice or strategy for purchasing where the businesses are smaller? And the second is, how do you really find where they are like mixed organizations? Because, searching for podiatrists, I got nearly 1,000 addresses, which we've divided into 5 regions, and we're sending out a region at a time just so that we can manage it.
Good plan.
But I haven't really got a way of finding those businesses that are in mixed services, with osteopaths or masseurs or that sort of thing. So there's a couple of questions I've thrown in there.
Share it's all part of the same business. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, they share the receptionists and things like that.
Only interested in buying a podiatrist business?
No, I would be interested in buying a mixed service if that was available. It's finding them, but I'm particularly targeting at the moment looking for podiatrist businesses that have multiple podiatrists and foot care, because obviously I need to get enough revenue, and also, a lot of businesses, the podiatrist is the main person, so take them out the business and you don't have a business.
Okay, so all right, let's do this one at a time. So let's say there must be some sort of professional association that they belong to.
Yes, I've been down that route. Yep.
Oh, you have. So
Yeah.
is there a list of members that you can access?
I have that, but I don't have the address. But the way I've got my 1,000 so far is actually through 192.com, and I have a very fast process of scraping. So I'm not short of addresses from that perspective.
So illegal, scraping data. Is that yeah, you meant to do that? No, okay, all right, we move on. Okay, so that's where you've got your list from right now. Is there a membership list for a professional association?
Yes, the problem with the membership list, though, is it's individuals, and as there's a lot of podiatrists who are sole traders, what I've done is I've gone for those that have got a company name. Now, a lot of those are also, I'm finding out, are sole traders, but I am shaking out businesses that that have multiple practitioners. So that was whereas if you go for the professional list, you've just got a list of individuals.
And how many individuals would you say there are?
There's 13,000 in the whole of the UK, because I have a podiatrist advisor who's working with me, and he gave me that figure.
If you wanted to, I mean, there may not be a simple way of doing it. It may just be you've got to get through a lot of people. And maybe it's a case of over the course of the next 12 months, you mail all 13,000, and you
Yes.
know that so many of those are just not relevant. You know they're not relevant, but yeah, if we could only send letters to people who wanted to sell and they were the right size, the right location, we'd love to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't we? I mean, that would be the simplest thing in the world, but we can't do it, unfortunately. So we've got to maybe spread the net wider. So tell me, Jill, in an ideal world, how many of these podiatry businesses would you have?
I would like to build 20, because that will be about the size that people like Bupa would be looking at to do an equity, to purchase a block.
Great plan.
I think that the podiatry business is a little bit like the dentists and the vets, where they're next in line, if you like, for that sort of purchase.
If you feel that way, being connected to that market, then that now you might discover you've got in there so beautifully early to do this. Now, what is that combined group worth to you? I mean, you must have worked out the turnover of 20 of these businesses, what the profit is, and have some idea of what Bupa would pay for a business of that size. What number did you come up with?
I haven't really come up with that. I'm looking at, I would only be looking at businesses that are going to have a profit of about 50,000. So, you're looking at, maybe $1 million.
Okay. So what would Bupa pay for $1 million of profit? It's got to be. I mean, do you have any idea or
No idea. No idea.
I'm going to guess. I'm going to say somewhere. This is going to be quite a big range, but somewhere between. Well, actually, maybe not a big range. Somewhere between 5 and 7 times. So 5 to 7 million. On a minute, so to pay, I think they'd pay 5 to 7 times earnings. I think that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think very reasonable. All right. So you want to get to that million of revenue, that $1 million of profit with those 20 businesses as quickly as possible, because if you're right, and this starts to become a hot market, then you'll have competition, and you want to jump in there quickly, don't you? So if they're only making 50,000 of profit, you might discover, I wonder whether the bounce back loan system in the UK is going to be extended. I wonder whether it is. It's already been extended to the end of November. I wonder whether it's going to be extended again, like to next March. Okay. Because they're already talking about top-ups, aren't they? People can top up their bounce back loan.
Yeah.
You might be able to just sweep all these up using bounce back loans in each business.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is that if there's 5, 6, 7 million pounds at stake, I would be saying, how quickly can I mail 13,000 people?
Yes. Yeah.
Because you see, the upside is so big. You want to make those 20 acquisitions. What you don't want to do is make those 20 acquisitions itsy bitsy over the next 2 or 3 years. You want to blitz it, because once you've found a way of buying that type of business, you say, okay, how do I replicate this and do it again and again and again and again?
It's the hairdresser model, isn't it?
Well, poor old Darren does get an awful lot. I've noticed. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, he's inspiring. That's why it gives you a real target, if you like.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I don't see why you can't do it with this. And you know what I would be saying? I can't set your goals for you, Jill, but I'd be saying, look, could I do this with several healthcare verticals alongside each other? Could I do it with podiatry? Could I do it with, what's the next one that springs to mind?
Osteopath or physiotherapists or even masseur.
Yeah, can I do it with these and create a national brand of healthcare? Yeah, create your own Bupa. Yeah, I know Bupa's more than just what we just said, but create your own national brand of healthcare, and that in itself has a value to a buyer.
Okay. Yep.
Which is what Bupa's done with dental practices everywhere.
Yes. Yes. Well, that's certainly like a model to follow, and same with vets. You know, they're great models to follow.
Vets have been massively consolidated. You see,
Mm.
and just one final thing, and then I'm going to move on, Jill, is that these small businesses fly under the radar because no large acquirer, they're going to look down their nose at them. They haven't reached any scale. But if you can find a way of acquiring them that doesn't require any of your own money, and then all you have to do is just roll it out again and again and again and again as quickly as possible, because you don't have to go and borrow money. You don't have to use your own funds. You can use the business's own money or bounce back or just pay, or you only do deferred consideration deals.
Mm-hmm.
Look, if I'm going to buy your business, this is how we buy it. This is how we bought the last 10. This is how we'd buy yours. You don't have to say yes. It's a take it or leave it. I need, just give me a yes, no. Do you want to do it? Yes or no? And if it's a no, you move on to the next one.
Yep.
And you've got several advantages. The other advantage is there are lots and lots, thousands of possibilities. And if you went osteopaths, if you went chiropractors, and you've got 13,000 of these, 13,000 of these, 13,000 of these, then it's the most exciting project in the world.
Yes.
Well, to people like me, it is.
Well, it is. Yes, it is to me as well. Yep.
Brilliant. Jill,
Thank you.
You said that Darren's very inspiring. I think that you're equally as inspiring. You're just a couple of steps behind that. I mean, he's done it all in the last 4 months. Yeah, you're just 4 months away from doing the same.
Yep. Thank you very much. Better get off my backside and get moving then.
I'll see you next month.
See you next month.
Thank you very much, Joe. That's brilliant. Thank you. Okay, let's move to Daniel Beaumont to get an update there. Daniel, if you would. Okay, I think you're unmuted.
Hello.
Speak to me, Daniel.
Can you hear me?
Yes, absolutely. Hi, how are you?
Yeah, very well, thank you. And you?
Yeah, good, thanks. Good. So tell us what's been happening.
Okay, so since we had the third session at the end of September, I've sent, I don't know, about 1,200 letters.
Okay.
And had a really good response rate. So just looking at my diary then, I think I've got about 20 meetings out of those.
Wow, out of 1,200?
Yeah.
That is very good. Just remind everyone of the sector.
Just manufacturing and wholesale. So very broad. I'm not looking for a specific type of business. Well, one that makes money.
Yeah, always helpful. Yeah.
So it was quite easy to get a database. And I pitch it that I don't have expertise in the sector. I was looking for a good investment. So yeah, loads of calls from the letters. I've still got 8 meetings following on from first phone calls to go in the next 2 weeks. And we've got one head signed, another heads which the vendor solicitor has rewritten helpfully. I
love it when they do that. Yeah, they've got to earn a fee somehow, though, haven't they?
Yeah, and a couple more sort of. We'll have a third meeting or phone call to discuss a potential deal. So, pretty positive.
And just remind everyone of your methodology, your financing methodology.
Well, vary. But the acquisition I've done was a sale and lease back on the premises. So, and the ones where we've got to heads will be the same deal structure. So we'll pay for the property on day one with a third party investor. And the consideration for the business is going to be paid over in this case 3 years. So I don't have to pay anything to the vendor for 12 months. And that should be paid out of profits
Yeah.
of the business, all being well. But at the moment, looking at another deal, which the initial consideration can be financed through the debtor book, or with a combination of C-bills, which have been extended to the end of January, and we bounce back as well.
Has the bounce back been extended to the end of Jan?
Yeah.
Is that just like, how did I miss that? Is that in the last day or so?
I got an email from my accountant with his like COVID update sort of this morning. I saw it on there.
Right. Wow. I didn't realize that. That's great news. So bounce back to the end of Jan. Wonderful. And C-bills as well. Brilliant.
Yeah. So I was trying to get everything, a lot of deals sort of done by the end of this, not done, but agreed by the end of this month, so I could get the applications for C-bills in. But now that pressure's been taken, not pressure, but that deadline's been taken away now.
To do more deals, isn't it?
Yeah. So I'd sort of stopped sending letters just because I wanted to get some things done before Christmas, but there's scope now to push it till January.
Yeah, I mean we're lining deals up to complete in January. So the ones we've got going on at the moment, of which there's now 7, we want to complete before Christmas. But at the same time, we're bringing in the new tranche to complete in January. So we've got something to come back to in the new year. So we don't start cold in Jan. Yeah. We've got them ready to go. But that's great, Daniel. What would you say, you know, from someone who's done one of these deals so far, and you've got great deal flow, just listening to everyone talking today so far, you know, if you were to share one tip from your experience to date, what would that be?
Well, definitely don't go through brokers. Follow the process using the letters. Using brokers makes it so much harder. Like, you're better off just speaking directly to the vendors. Yeah, I mean, the letters work. I mean, I've started receiving letters from other deal makers. So
yeah, words catching on. Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah.
That's great. Dan. Well done.
Yeah.
Sorry, you're about to say something.
No, just follow the process.
Follow the process. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's great. That's great. Thank you very much, Daniel. That's
Jonathan, can I just ask a question?
Yes.
You must have had the situation where so last week had the meeting, we agreed a deal structure, and I went and printed off a heads, and the vendor said, well, okay, but I want to have this checked, which is kind of fair enough, really. You do want, before you're signing a document, you want it checked. And I did the same when I sold my business. You know, I got my lawyer to just give it the heads a once over. But then later in the week, he said, can you send a Word version of the document? I didn't really want to be like, no. So I sent the Word version, and the solicitors come back, and the change they made to the actual document aren't, I can live with them, they're fine. But the solicitors changed the deal structure. So I've got a call with him in about an hour. And I'm like, well, hang on, no, you've changed the deal structure here. So you've changed.
Presumably in their favour.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, of course.
And I didn't want to say, no, you can't get your sister to check it. No, you can't have a Word document. But I just wondered how you'd, I don't know, either avoid this situation or broach it now.
Yeah, well, it's. I think really with heads of terms, you want to play it down. That they tell them they're signing something that's only legally binding in 4 places: confidentiality, jurisdiction, each party pays its own costs, and the exclusivity period. Say everything else is not legally binding. Look, it even says so here. So you know, I'm not using a solicitor because we're not signing a document that's legally binding, except for those 4 elements, which kind of, I hope that as reasonable people, we'd be agreeing to those things anyway. So I try and bypass them getting a solicitor involved. I mean, it's the most frustrating thing when they try and rewrite it and try to improve on the deal once they've sort of got their heads together with their solicitor. Or it might be their solicitor thinks they're doing a good job by leading, by influencing the deal, and in fact, it actually wasn't the seller's idea anyway. So what I'd be saying is, I say, what is your solicitor thinking of? I said they've changed it all. We had an agreement and we were happy with it, and now he's changed all these things, and it just doesn't seem right to me that someone who wasn't party to any of our discussions has come in and told us how to do our business, how to make this happen. And some people will back down immediately and say, oh yeah, no, I did tell him. I say, look, solicitors mess up deals, and I've had it before, where the solicitor gets all heavy-handed, and quite frankly, that just doesn't feel like a good omen. And if they're heavy-handed now on a non-legally binding piece of paper, imagine what they're going to be like once they get their hands on a sale and purchase agreement. I mean, quite frankly, I'm not sure whether that is the sort of situation I want to be in. Almost like you're sort of thinking to yourself, do I really want to do this? And make them realize that their solicitor is a little bit of an enemy in this situation. So it's an emotional, psychological play, Daniel, more than anything else.
Sure.
I wish there was just one thing that you could say, but there isn't.
Yeah.
It's a combination of a little bit of moral outrage that they have changed something that you've shaken hands on. Let me know what happens.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, cool. Thanks, Daniel.
Cheers.
Brendan, let's do your hot seat now. If we unmute you, Brendan. Hi, Brendan. Oh, no, you're not unmuted because you're on here twice for some reason. You're logged in twice, is that right? Okay, you can unmute, Brendan. You can unmute, Brendan. Just click the little microphone.
Trying my best. Trying my best.
No worries. How are you?
Good. I've got to switch off my other phone. I had it on my phone so I could walk around the house, and now I've got it on my computer.
Okay.
So,
all right.
Sorry.
So let me just find what you sent in. So
I can't hear this one.
Oh yeah, right. So your challenge is trying to buy a business in the UK while living outside of the UK.
That's correct. Yeah.
So tell us briefly a little bit about that.
Well, I'm an IT consultant. I've got a bit of property, but I was a little bit apprehensive about going into IT consultancy. So I wanted a simpler sort of business to go into. So we live in Norway. We've lived here for the last 20 years. My missus is involved in this process as well. She wants to do it. She's been put down to 1 day a week with work, so she's got a little bit of time to try this. So, but anyway, the first question was to do with, you said at one point in time you can do a lot of this online. Online, do a Zoom call and stuff like that. But anytime you talk about it, you say it's far better face to face. And I'm kind of face to face is a little bit tricky, especially in these times.
Of course.
So
if you can't go with the ideal scenario, you have to go with the second best or nothing at all.
Okay, but you think it can still work? We can still do these deals. Yeah, should be okay. All right.
If you think about what it is, it's about having a conversation with someone and reaching an agreement. So we'd like to sit down and have a coffee with them, but if you can't do it, either because of your geographical location, completely understandable, then there's a podcast from about, I don't know, sometime in the last couple of months, where interviewed an American buyer who bought an IT company in the UK during lockdown, and he said I'm so glad that we were forced into that situation, because the business we bought before in Copenhagen required, I think he said, 6 or 7 international flights backwards and forwards from America. And,
yeah.
And he said by the lockdown actually forced us to be smarter with our process, and we could buy it in I might bring Peter in on this at the moment. Oh, Peter's going. No, he's coming back.
I've spoken to Peter about this, but Peter started doing this initially in the UK, and now he's super successful. And
we're talking Peter Lidgett. Yeah, there's Peter. Yes.
Peter Lidgett. Yeah, we've had a good long chat already about this.
He's based in France.
And yeah, obviously he's making a great success of doing this over here, but he started in England. It gives you a little bit of confidence, first of all. But okay, I've just got to crack on and just do it. That's fine. Would you get the heads of terms done on Signable then, whilst in a Zoom meeting or something like that? Or some sort of tool like Signable, electronic signatures?
You could do. Yeah, of course, absolutely, you could do. But yeah, it may just be over egging it. You might just want to email it, sign it off, print it off, sign it, scan it, and send it back.
All right, okay.
You could do one of those processes. Yeah, absolutely. But you don't need to.
And then I get on to my next fear, and that is trying to run a business in the UK whilst living abroad. And I appreciate you're not supposed to be running a business, but initially, I think a lot of the people like Darren Jacobs, he actually had to run it initially until he got up to 6 or 7. Then he got Vanessa involved, and she's taken it on to the next level. It's just getting to 7 whilst living abroad.
Look, you're thinking.
And just a concern about that.
Yeah, let's just focus on one, first of all. Let's just do one. Let's just get one under your belt. And absolutely, you need someone managing that business day to day. That's exactly what you want. Now, it doesn't mean that you're so completely hands off, you don't know what's going on, but you just need someone who's there on the ground that the staff report to.
Yeah. So you've got to find a business with a good manager there already.
Yeah, or you advertise and put one in.
Right. Okay.
We buy businesses with managers, but sometimes we swap them out just like a week later, or we have a business where we have to. Oh, actually, we have a business where there's no manager because the owner's the manager. We have to put a new manager.
Right. Okay. That sounds interesting, or sounds like a bit of a challenge to do that.
And you know what? That's exactly the right way of thinking about it. It's a challenge that you can accomplish.
Right. Okay, that's all good. We were thinking of doing it from 2 directions, try and do it in Norway as well. So if you were buying a simple business, for example, Darren Jacobs, because we haven't really decided on the business yet, but if we tried hairdressing salons, would you just need an acquisition lawyer? You'd need to do your DD, so you'd need an accountant. I presume I can use my English accountant, doesn't matter so much. But do you then just need an acquisitions lawyer?
Yep, you just
and a HR person.
A lawyer on your side, yeah, absolutely. Yes. Yeah.
And did you say that do you use a solicitor for each deal, or do you pretty much?
It depends. It depends. So the answer it depends. If it's really vanilla, then no. I just use a template. It takes me 15 minutes. I did one last night actually. It took me 15 minutes to populate it, and we use that. So it's usually drafted initially.
Okay.
Drafted by someone qualified to do so initially, but then I just because some of these deals are quite sort of straightforward. There's nothing unusual about it.
Yeah, it's just we're looking at care homes and nurseries and care homes, hairdressers, nurseries, whatever. We're just looking into all of those. Would you run one? They'd be quite straightforward to go to the next one with the same document for going to solicitor.
You know what? I tell you what. My best advice is you always use a solicitor until you know what you're doing.
Okay. Very good.
Yeah, always use it. I'm never going to say to you, don't get legal advice. You should always get advice, always. I'm very comfortable with what I'm doing. I'm very comfortable with accepting any level of risk. The risk is so low anyway. For speed, we can agree, like, for example, this one that we agreed to buy this afternoon. This evening, I'll sit with a cup of tea. 15 minutes later, have my APA, and we're going to get that signed, well, this week. But I would suggest,
APA. Okay.
Asset purchase agreement. I would suggest that you don't do that until
Good choice.
With what you're doing. So for
I thought you meant American Pale Ale. I thought that was a good choice. Sorry.
With Jill and her podiatry businesses and all of her businesses, the first few she'll use a solicitor, and then she'll go, you know what? It's just the same every time, isn't it? And she'll just do the same every time.
Very good. Okay.
Is that all right?
Well, that's perfect. We've just got to crack on, get moving.
Absolutely.
And report back next month. Thanks very much.
Yeah, brilliant, Brendan. Yeah, keep positive, okay?
Yep.
All right. Kevin Brown. Haven't forgotten you. Where are you? Yes, unmute. All right. Kevin, you can unmute yourself. Where are you, Kevin? I know you're still online. If you just tap the unmute button.
Apologies, I'm still doing work at the moment this afternoon. So
no worries. We can hear you, Kevin. We can hear you.
Right, so I'm still continuing looking for an IT-related business, and I got an inquiry a couple of weeks ago, and this is from an old email campaign, and this is for a software company which provides a CRM service. They have had some online reviews. They look generally okay. They have a UK-based company, and they also have the main headquarters in Lithuania. So I had a Zoom call 2 weeks ago, and from the sounds of it, they were very keen on moving forward. They stated the reasons for wanting to sell was because they were facing difficulties in marketing it. They didn't really understand the UK or the US market. Okay. And they gave me some general figures, so I'm waiting for the formal accounting information. But as they've got the main company abroad and the subsidiary in the UK, and I'm not sure how I would proceed if things were looking good in principle.
Proceed in what way?
But for acquisition, let's say that there's a head of terms. I'm not sure what the legal elements we'll need to consider for the deal and the associated costs, and also for the accounting point of view. And although Lithuania is in the EU, I'm not sure what the procedural side would be.
You're buying a UK subsidiary.
So I should say that the owner was looking to sell everything, including the parent company. Sorry, I should have mentioned that minor detail.
Okay. All right. Sorry, I didn't realize that. Okay, so you're buying a Lithuanian-based company.
Yes, which involves their intellectual property of the software developed, which is all in-house. Potentially, they could be continuing working offshore, but I'm thinking,
what's your question then, Kevin?
My question is, if there's a heads of terms, what's the best way to proceed with that? Because you've got an offshore owner and you've got a UK-based company. Is it the same as doing acquisition for just one company?
So you're buying the holding company?
Yes, and the subsidiary.
Yeah. So your deal is to buy the holding company, and the subsidiary automatically follows along with it.
Yes.
So that's what you need to be doing. You need to be your heads of terms identifies the parties as the seller being the holding company.
Okay.
You might want to reference the fact that the holding company owns this particular subsidiary just for for absolute clarity. But yeah, that's who you're doing a deal with.
Okay. Right.
Yeah. So what's there's got to be a follow-up question to this around, do I know a Lithuanian lawyer or something like that?
Yeah. Do you have one in the pocket?
Well, let me just think about that. Actually, no, I don't. No, I don't know a Lithuanian lawyer. What you might want to do is speak to John Andrews at Morrison's, who Maria can put you in touch with, to see if they don't have an office in Lithuania, but quite often law firms have collaborative arrangements, so they can offer a sort of a pan-European service. So that might be a good contact for you.
That's great. Okay. That was all really. Thank you very much. Yeah.
No, that's a good question though. Slightly different, but a good question. Let me know how you get on with that, would you?
Definitely, will do.
Okay, cool. Thank you very much. Okay, Miriam, you're next on my list. You can unmute yourself, Miriam.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine, Jonathan.
Good.
Thank you so much. Yes.
Good. Okay, so Miriam, tell me how I can help you today.
Yes, so mine, like what I told you previously, is that this is a nursing home. And like the other two, I'm in Zimbabwe and trying to get something in the UK, but I managed to partner with two guys who each has one, a nursing home, small. So this deal, we got it through the suppliers, and I managed to have a meeting with them on Zoom. They visited the nursing home and they were happy because they are also in the industry, and they were happy.
The property or the business, or just the business?
Yes, that's my questions now, because there are two nursing homes under one company. So the lady says because there are two shareholders, but the lady is the one who is active. She has been managing. The other one is old age and ill health. But the two are run separately with different names, but under one shareholding company. So
yeah, sure.
she cannot sell the shares because there is another nursing home in that, but she would want to sell.
So there are three homes. She wants to sell two out of the company.
There are two homes. She wants to sell one.
So you need to buy the business of these two care homes out of the company. Okay, understood.
Yeah. She says she wants to sell one and remain with the other. But then the one which she wants to sell, she's talking of the assets, that we will buy it as assets only. Yeah. So that was my question. I thought it was only the assets, the fixed assets, and excluding the debtors, the cash. But she says everything, the name.
The name can be an asset, yeah.
Yeah, and because it's running independently. So we are talking of a net assets of 1.7. We have investments, and there should be some, she's going to give us the bank statement. So now I'm trying to structure the deal, because they say 2.7 million, of which Wednesday we'll be talking of the head of terms if we agree.
Okay. So I think what everyone is thinking right now is for a quite a high value. You seem to be very relaxed about the
about the deal.
Okay, so this is your first acquisition.
Yes. It's
You're,
the first
you're-
one, as you
and
said.
so you're buying a building, right? You're buying a property.
Yes, they are selling the building is also part of the assets.
Yes, of
The
course.
equipment,
Yeah,
plant
sure.
and
Right. So
machinery.
what was your plan to finance that then? How did you, if you're sort of planning to sign heads of terms on Wednesday, tell us what was at the back of your mind as to the process.
Yeah. At the back of my mind, I was thinking of using the property to get something out, loan against the property, and also there are some investments. They do have investments and some cash of about 100,000.
They have investments. What does that mean?
I told them they haven't come up with, they haven't given me what exactly is the investment, but I saw it in here, and they were saying it's a 3 months investment. I think maybe the short-term investments which are done, something like that.
But what's that got to do with the nursing home?
It's part of the nursing home's finance. So it's in the balance sheet.
But you're not buying the balance sheet. You're buying the assets. If you're buying the balance sheet, you're buying the shares, which you're not for the reasons you said, because she's keeping 1 or 2 homes and selling you 1. So you're buying the assets. So whatever's in the balance sheet is really quite sort of, you're not buying the balance sheet.
Because the assets are in the balance sheet. So how does it work?
Yes, they are, but also in the balance sheet are the liabilities. So you're just buying the assets out of the company. Mm-hmm. So yeah. And how did you reach the numbers? How did you reach the valuation?
The valuation, she said it was valued by their bank, but we, with the other 2 partners, we thought the value would be 2.2.
Okay.
Based on what they saw, and from the management accounts which they gave us.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yes.
Why don't I spend a little bit of time with you on this away from the group? Because I feel like we just need to unpick this a little bit.
Okay.
It just feels there's some big numbers there. I think everyone would agree. There's some decent sized numbers. And I don't want you to sort of to walk into a situation where have they instructed solicitors? I mean, who have you been communicating with?
No, directly with the shareholders.
And how did you find out about this?
Through their suppliers. One of the suppliers who supplies them things. So she told us that they were selling. So we managed to speak to the shareholders. There are only 2, but the lady is the only one who is active. The other one is old.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I think we'll do, we'll do a little Zoom, you and me, because we need to focus on the important issues here. Okay, we need to focus on the important things, because we need to be realistic about whether it's financeable. Because someone who's selling something at what 2.2 million, quite reasonably is not wanting probably to, they want, and there's a property. Is there any finance on the property at the moment?
No, there's not.
The property is unencumbered. Okay. This actually is quite similar in some ways to the conversation we were having with Jeremy Norris earlier on. In fact, there's some similarities there. But what I'm going to do is I am kind of absolutely every half hour of my life is fully booked for definitely the next 24 hours. Okay, so it might push into the back end of the week, but I'll see what Maria can do to set something up. Okay.
Okay, that will be lovely. And I'll also update you on our Wednesday meeting. What we would have.
Why don't you have the meeting on Wednesday first, and then we do it after the Wednesday meeting?
Yeah, I think that will be lovely.
Right, what's going on there?
At least I would have some of the information which we requested, so maybe we can have a way forward on that.
Yeah, and is it so on your side of the table? It's you and someone else, or just you?
It's me and the other two guys were already. Each one of them is.
Who are the two guys? Who are they?
They are not on this group, but they are based in UK, and I got them through my cousin, the one whom I was doing with the.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, let's get Maria to organize a little chat on that one. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Cool. All right, guys. We've done 2 hours here, which I think feels like we've feels like we've done a lot. I'm aware that there's 1, 2, 3. There's 4 people who sent in questions that I haven't answered. I will do that directly with you, okay, via email, so that you get a response to those 4 questions. Well done, and congratulations to all those people who have been doing so well, getting to heads, getting deals done. And all of you, yeah, if you were to take away anything from this meeting, I think that it's got to be about having clarity of focus. You know, where are we going? What are we doing? And then just doing it. Because what I don't want, and I say this now so it doesn't happen in 6 months, what I don't want is in 6 months' time, we're kind of having the same conversation, or, you know, you and I, or you as an individual and I having the same conversation and nothing's moved on. I mean, I'm saying Gavin's name because Gavin's picture is right in the middle of my screen, just to say, look at Gavin's progress in just the last few months. Every month, something new is happening. And Daniel, who we were talking to earlier, every month, something new is happening. So yeah, that momentum carries you forward. So when there is a disappointment, when something doesn't go according to plan, it's like, oh, who cares? On to the next one. You know, and it's really hard to say who cares, on to the next one, when your whole life is in one deal for 3 months and it doesn't work. Yeah, you need to be making decisions really quickly, moving on, next one, next one, next one, and that's where you get the momentum. Yeah, that's where, if you want to buy 20 podiatry clinics, you know, you've got to start moving fast. You can't spend 6 months over each one. You've got to move quickly, and that pace is just so important. And actually, that's where you also get deal flow from, because people start to hear, well, there's this person buying podiatry clinics. You maybe should get in touch with them. You start getting the press releases in Podiatry News or Podiatry Today or whatever the publication is, and people start contacting you as a result. We get people contact us because they see us in Nursery World magazine. So guys, it's about momentum and speed and just getting things done, and don't worry about it being perfect. Be a perfectionist in another area of your life. You're with this, let's just get it done, get it done, get it done. If you need any support at any time, any help with anything, contact Maria and I will always get back to you in 24 hours, okay? Unless it's a weekend or Christmas or something like that. But have a good week, have a good month. I'll see you next month. Any help, anytime, ask Maria, only too pleased to help you. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a good rest of the day. Bye, everyone. Zoom wave. Bye-bye.